Here I am, here you are. We have so much to talk about as we are already in April and you feel it, so much is happening. So let's get into it. Now imagine right away that you have a ball in this hand and a ball in this hand. Okay, notice it. This ball right here feels and looks like Jell-O. Okay, so just imagine what Jell-O feels like in your hand. It's wobbly, you squish it, it's gonna start breaking apart. It has a shape, but it's gonna break apart. Then notice over here, you have glass. And notice the glass is solid, it's beautiful. You know, how many times in your life have you maybe like gone to a restaurant and had a really good glass and you're like, what is this glass? This glass like is just beautiful. It feels good. It's strong. It has this feeling about it. Whereas the Jell-O is not sturdy, doesn't really know who or what it is, and it can be moved and it can be shaped. Okay? So this Jell-O right now is what you can call the life that you were born into. Okay? The Jell-O is the life that you were born into. The glass is the life that you were born for. So now, as we are all of the sudden in April, May, and June, which is this like time out of time energy that I've been talking a lot about, you are realizing that in one hand, you can see and identify what is bothering you, stopping you, keeping you kind of like going left and right, because it is things from the life you were born into versus what you know is part of your glass, your beautiful glass ball. So wherever you are in your life, whoever you are right now, notice how the Jell-O might be presenting in a way that your mind doesn't want to accept or see it. Because over here, this is your destiny. This is why you were born. But notice that your ball of Jell-O over here is doing whatever it can to stop this destiny from unfolding. So what does that look like in your specific life? It looks like you are doubting, you are questioning, and you are holding on to this Jell-O. Like, look at that. We're going like this to the Jell-O, and it's squishing and it's falling apart and it's falling through your hands. But then you're all of a sudden picking it up and trying to put it back together. So what in your life is the Jell-O that you need to just let go and trust and see it as part of the life that you were born into? It's the foundation on which you stand, and be so excited that you see this so that you can just literally drop the Jell-O and start moving and living into the life that you were born for. Everybody's different in this aspect, everybody alive. But the big thing that's happening right now in these 3 months for sure, leading up to July, is this favorite line that I heard is, your Santa sack of shit no longer can be hidden. You can't hide from yourself. So your Santa bag has now literally opened up. Okay, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toys, whatever. If you haven't done any work within yourself, you're just all of a sudden being like, holy shit, my Santa sack has a lot of things. I don't even know where to start all the things. But you do know where to start, because there's that one thing, everybody has that one thing that literally causes this whole entire sack to exist. So notice that, because that one thing in the trajectory of the life that you were born into is the reason why you're stopping yourself or struggling to embody the life you're here for. So in the old language, in the old days, we could call that trauma. We could say, oh, it's when my parents divorced. You can pinpoint things from, a thinking mind that literally caused this one thing to form the trajectory of your whole entire life. That one thing has now emptied out, and you can see it. And if you're willing, you can literally move through it to get over here for the life that you were born for. So notice, deep, deep inside of you right now, if you were to just breathe, just take a deep breath, and you asked yourself, okay? Ask yourself, if I knew I wasn't going to fail, if I wasn't scared, what would I do? Who would I be? And how would I live? Okay? So just go there and notice who you would possibly be with. How does your life look and feel? Where might you live? Even if you don't know what, fires you up, you have an idea inside of you of something that maybe you would spend your days doing if you didn't have those fears and those stories that are holding you back. Okay? So whatever that story is, whatever you're telling yourself right now, what would you do if none of these things existed and were in the way? Okay? Let's go there. Just feel that. As you feel that, and you got your answer right now, whose story is that? Is it you? Whose story, whose fear is that? And when did that begin in your life? If you can't pinpoint it, it doesn't matter. We don't need to live in the past. You can just feel it right in this moment. That there is a moment, that one thing that caused you to be you. So I'm going to use me as an example because I've already walked my one thing. When I was in kindergarten, I came home all the time from school to my mom and I said, nobody wants to play with me. Nobody wants to play with me. And that went on for my whole elementary into high school. And I developed this whole sense of I have to prove that people are going to like me, that I'm worthy, that, I'm lovable. I want to be seen. I want to be loved, but mostly I need to prove to myself. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified of somebody not liking me, somebody saying something mean about me, having some hate or whatever the case be. My one thing is hate. If you don't like me or you've written something about me or whatever, that literally is my one thing in my Jello life that will stop me from living the life that I was born for. And if you know my story and you know my journey, you know that in my previous life, I had tons of hate for, creating a fashion company. And then as I've become who I am, lots of opinions and stories because I'm the example of personal accountability, personal responsibility, and integrity. And that triggers the fuck out of anyone who doesn't want to look at that. So when somebody doesn't want to look at that, then it comes back on me. I'm the problem. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm not perfect. I look at every single thing that is ever said or mentioned to see how I can be better, to see if that is real or that is just their Jello. So imagine if I literally did not go through my Santa sack of shit and look at my one thing. Externally, I had to do it years ago. And then recently, I've had to do it internally so that I can be this body of form with the light and the beautiful flower stem down me as the example for all of you. Because I could ask my same question that I'm asking you. If I knew what wouldn't scare me and I knew I wouldn't quote unquote fail, what would I do? This! I would be myself. I would live in the world that I came here to be for, not be stuck in the world that I was born into from the lineage, the stories, and the programming that was never mine. Take that in. The lineage, the stories, and the programming that was never mine. So if you go back and you look at all the videos from March, I released so much info about being the portal. What does that mean? It means that you were born into the life that you were born into with a bucket. Okay, so imagine right down the middle right here, you had a test tube, a bucket, however you want to look at it. And you did not understand that. You did not understand your stem, your tube, your bucket, however you want to look at it. So everything has been pouring in. See? And then around the age of 6 to 7, for a majority of the world, that bucket all of a sudden gets shut. Why? Because that's the formation of the program, the ego, when it truly, truly takes over. So then here you are on the trajectory of your life, all of the sudden living with this bucket, this tube, whatever, barely ever open, okay? But you still have it. So all of this is coming into you this way. All of this energy, okay? See it, it's all coming into you. Not from up here, from here. It's a compression energy. You're being buried. Feel that. Buried. Whew. All of a sudden, you're in your teenage years, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You're like, I literally don't even know how I fucking got here. I don't know why I feel so suffocated. You look around potentially at other people's lives that are now all external based, because heaven forbid anybody lives real from the inside, because that's just impossible. So if they do, they must be fucking fake. That's the story. But you cannot overrule a feeling. And you're like, how did I get here? How is this my life? And all these things are circulating. Has that been your year? Yeah. Because it's all part of your Santa bag of shit. So you've had this compression your entire life. So if you look at it, 80 to 90% of your ideas, your thoughts, your choices, your life came from this compression. Okay? You have wounds that were also developed around the 6 and 7 year mark. Okay? So that compression literally needs to survive. So imagine it, it's like a whole, I know this is totally disgusting, but we're going with this imagery. Imagine it's like if you left a fucking like jam and toast out on the cupboard. Visualize that. And then all these ants come. The ants go marching one by one, and they come out onto the cupboard and they're eating the jam and the toast. What is the jam and the toast? Your wounds. Rejection, abandonment, or self-worth. So the only way that this compression energy has sustained all these years is because you're constantly putting the jam and toast out on the cupboard to feed this energy that stays. So then what happens? Mental illness, external sickness, all the things externally, because you're now living from literally a clogged toilet that isn't you, that then feeds your wounds. So just breathe. So now, what has now taken place and what is really happening, as you can see the whole news and all the stories out there and all the fear, yeah, you know what? Get your popcorn, have a good laugh. It's not real. It's part of the jello. It's part of the jello. So let's throw it away. Ask yourself why you're intaking it. Why? Is it doing anything for the life that you were born for, or is it still feeding the life that you were born into? Ask yourself that. The conversations you have, the things you read, the things you intake, the choices you're making, is it coming from the life that you were born into? Or is it helping you create and embody from the life you were born for? So notice, the life that you were born into literally loves the jam and the toast. Oh my God. Yes, loves it. Because if it can get you to be scared, to not know who you are, to literally make decisions because someone else is telling you, you're terrified of what would happen, people's opinions, all the things, then this energy can keep compressing and keep coming in and constantly get you to the same spot over and over and over and over again. Singularly to yourself, you know what that spot feels like. For me, it was like literally, I would get like fucking depressed. Like I would just feel like nothing in life was fucking worth it. I was going nowhere. I was doing nothing, even though I was doing everything. I was hustling, I was creating, I had all the things. But I would just get to these like walls time and time again, this big wall all the time, and being like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I couldn't understand myself because externally, I had it all. Externally, I was fucking creating, I was all the things, but I kept getting to this place inside of myself. And I couldn't figure it out. This is why. Because I kept putting my toasted jam out on the cupboard and I'm like, hey ants, come march in, come feed off me. And then when they did, from my wounds, because I had a self-worth wound, and I do have a self-worth wound, so I'd let the ants come in, stick all over my little toast, feast away. I would make decisions from that toast. And then everybody else's energy, the whole world's energy, doesn't matter who it is just plopping right into my bucket, into my tube. Cool. You can imagine how my life felt and how your life feels when you don't understand yourself. So now what's happening for the world that you were born into and how exciting it is, this lid, this tube, this bucket, whatever you want to call it, it's wide open. It is literally wide open. What does that mean? It means that if you don't understand yourself, if you're constantly putting the toast and jam out on the counter, it's closing back down, this energy's coming in, wash, rinse, repeat. There's nothing you can do at this point in humanity at all to stop your bucket, tube, portal to stay shut. You can't, unless you're doing the work to actually shut it so that you can then get some relief to understand yourself so that you can manage it. But on an energetic standpoint, you're seeing this in your kids, you're seeing this in yourself, you're seeing how there's moments where you're like, what the fuck? Like, why do I feel like my mom? Why do I feel like my dad? Why do I feel like my coworker? Why am I even saying this? Why the fuck did I just watch this, buy this, do this, whatever? Because this has now opened And majority of the world has no idea that it's opened or what to do. So then the toast comes out, the jam comes out, the ants come marching in, and all of this compression comes, and this gets closed again because you literally are coping and trying to figure out how to understand yourself. So you just go back to the world that you were born into, which is having this closed. So just take this in for a moment. You cannot stop it from being opened. It's open. That's number one. Once it's open, you don't understand yourself. You're overwhelmed, all the things. Then what happens is you go back to what you've always known, which is the world that you were born into, and this shuts. You shut it. Energy doesn't shut it, you shut it. Because it feels so damn good. Take that in. It feels so good to shut it, to live in your toast and jam, and allow all the ants and the energy to take you over. That to you, in the world that you were born into, feels better. Just breathe that. Why does it feel better? Because compassion to yourself, that's all you know. And in that world that you were born into, there's a whole program, okay? A whole program that literally wants this portal closed. It does not want you as the flower you are with the beautiful petals. Look at, my shirt almost looks like a flower, right? To be open. Look at that. If you stayed open and you understand your toast and jam, your wounds, and you're open, you, the light you are, is sitting way up outside of your body of form. This is the creation right here, okay? All of that is pouring down to you, creating, pouring down, creating, pouring down, creating. You're relaxed in the truth of who you are. There's no fear, there's no doubt, there's no hesitancy. It comes. Let's not sugarcoat it. It comes. When you're living as the flower, that fear, that doubt, that hesitancy, it hits you. But the difference is you understand your flower, so you know how to be like, bye, 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 and keep your flower sustained through the sun, the water, the stars, and the moon. So tomorrow, whenever you watch this, it's April 8th. Give me a second. I'm sure if you've been living under a rock, and whenever you watch this, you'll see it in hindsight. There's a solar eclipse going on. And you see all the news and all the things and all the stuff. So I'm just going to share something so that you can just let it move through your body and understand. So this solar eclipse, imagine how it's going to go over all of the flowers, okay? And you can imagine that like darkness comes over the flowers. And then after it moves away, there is sun, there is light. The seed in you that sits down here in your stomach, all of a sudden resets into the world that you were born for. So as this takes place, all of a sudden the seed literally remembers who it is. It literally gets to stretch up and out and feel the sun. Feel the moon, the stars, and the water. That is how you sustain. That is how we move forward. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal in energy and, in everything is because prior to this, you can imagine that there was, they look like almost dental floss strings all across the planet, okay? The old language of it was ley lines, okay? Even if you don't know what a ley line is, who cares? Feel the word. Imagine those ley lines controlled the seed in you. So you can imagine that our light, our portal, our stem relied on an irrigation system, a watering system, a sunlight system. It relied on the moon and the stars that came from the manipulation of the ley lines. Do not try to understand this if you don't. This is coded into your cells. The ley lines were hijacked and manipulated a long ass fucking time ago. The program, duplicate, had them. Cool. People like me, other people on the planet have done massive work to release them, to get us here, to move us forward into the truth, which is we no longer need the ley lines, the irrigation system, to sustain. So tomorrow, imagine all of a sudden we've gone into the irrigation system and we've cut the lines. It's exciting. It's so fucking exciting, which now means that your seed and your flower blooms up and the true sun, the true moon, the true stars, and the true water that comes from you, sustains you. You no longer have to be manipulated, controlled, watered, sustained, managed by something that was man-made from the program. You are here as the light, owning and running this body of form, and sunshine, moon, stars, and water, I'm repeating that and saying it multiple times here for a reason, sustains you, both externally and internally. So if you look at anyone who's been working with me for the last 5 years, why is it that your heavy imagery has been the turquoise blue sea, the sun, the stars? Because you have been accessing that this entire time inside you, the truth of you. Take that in. Beyond the jello. You have been working this entire time in the world that you were born for, while accepting and doing the work to get rid of all the things from the world, the cleanup of the world that you were born into. So it's a big fucking deal what's going on right now, and you feel it. You can feel this, all this going on inside of you. You can look out and see whatever you want to see, but this is the truth. Clip, 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 clip to those lines, and all of a sudden, the flower. And with the flower opening, this opens, and everybody starts to understand themselves. You start to understand that you have built an entire life based on the world that you were born into. Cool. But you also notice from the jello how much of it you're trying to hold on to, how much of it you're trying to make sense of. Yet something inside of you is saying, jump, do, Trust, believe. And then right away, the jello, all this is coming in. Your wounds are talking, being like, wow, I don't want them to be mad, or, oh, I'm scared, or, oh, I can't do this. I'm scared of being rejected. Whatever it is. That's why me as a mentor and the work that we do provides language so that you can run. It's so easy now. So easy. If you want to start living in the world you were born for, you can and you will, and you're going to. Period. Because this is done. It's falling apart. Why? Because the glass, the light version of you, is here. So breathe. If you look at all of this, one of the biggest things I'm hearing right now is, yes, you have to understand energy and understand yourself, which is just first identifying what is yours and what is not yours. And you'll easily be able to do that by just saying to myself, like, is this truly mine? And like, where the fuck would I even gotten this? That's a start. You want to know more about yourself? You want help with that? We got you. We can hold your hand and give you language far beyond what, you could even imagine. I can do a whole charting system of your whole entire lineage, your seed lineage, and help you help yourself. But beyond all that, notice what this jello world is full of. Fear, obviously. And then what does fear feed off of? Jealousy, greed, competition. But a really, 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 really big one is judgment. Judgment of others and judgment of yourself. So if you really notice, the world that you were born into and the cleanup that you need to do is really looking at where you're judging yourself, where you are constantly beating yourself up, and notice where judgments of everyone else still exist for you. And it's crazy because when you're judging someone else, it's my favorite line. What about that is causing this to be? So if you're judging someone, it's like turn the finger back on you and be like, what about that is causing that to be in me? If you notice that all of a sudden you're jealous, you're in competition, you're in greed, you're in victim, what about that is causing this to be? And all of it at the very essence is a judgment. There is a judgment that you are placing that's keeping you stuck in what we can call the jello life. So the work now is literally seeing the freaking judgments. I used to be the biggest judgmental fucking person when it came to one thing, clothing and fashion. Okay, let's use me. I would literally be like, oh, like that outfit, or I would judge a guy for sure, his shoes, his whole outfit. I'd go on and on and on, okay? But what about that was causing that to be inside of me? Well, I had narrations the size of fucking China about myself. I'm fat, my skin, my this, my that, whatever. And so instead of looking at myself, I judged. I openly judged other people. I distracted myself with judgments upon other people, their journeys, their life, their actions, their whatever, to avoid looking at myself. Now where I live, honest to Pete, I don't remember the last time that I lived in like consistent judgment. And if I had a judgment as a mentor, I could easily judge a lot of things. Let's be honest. I could easily be like this and this and this and this. but it's not my journey, and I'm not here to judge. I'm here to be a hand. I'm here to literally love and support and be the embodiment of that. So many people have asked me throughout the years, like how, people have left and gone and done things and, lived their life, under the soil, say, back in the Jello life. Who am I to judge that? I can feel sorry. I can feel compassion. I can feel nothing but love for them because we got them to a space where they feel that that's where they need to be. Because if I'm judging them and saying, well, that's fucked, they're fucked, whatever the judgment is, then what is that saying about me? That's saying that I don't feel worthy. I don't feel that my work is worthy, all the things. But I see it for what it is. I release it from myself. I let it go. And that's the biggest quote unquote tip that I can give to help you move from the world that you were born into to the one that you came for, is releasing judgment and letting it go. No longer do you have to make choices and do things from your toast and jam. I've let people go because I wish them well. I send them love. I have no judgment upon it because for whatever their choice was, that's what they felt they needed to do. But I don't need to keep that tied to me so that I can ruminate for fucking years and years and years and months and whatever and stop myself from living in the amazing life that I was born for because I have a judgment placed on someone else. How do you free yourself and live freely and truly as who you are? You release the judgment. You let it go. You feel it. You see it. And then you release it because you're able to look at yourself, hold that accountability, hold that responsibility for whatever choices you've made, and be able to look at it and then grow from it and be better. Release the judgment of yourself, release the judgment of them, and live over here in the life that you came for. We are here to make choices. We have free will in this body of form. That's the whole point to being in this body of form, is we have choice. And we get to choose. And it's so fucking amazing when you get to override the program and come back to the truth of who you are, because you see that your choices come from in here instead of out here. And it's easy, it's free. And when it comes from in here, it's the stem you're creating. So the impossible starts to happen. It's like, how can you live here? How can you do this? How can you this? How can you do that? Because you're constantly living and sustaining like this, allowing for yourself up here, to access all the moments, all the memories, all the things that are existing in this moment right now, because time doesn't exist. And you get to grab them and pull it down like a bingo ball. And if you're clear, and if you're listening, you open up that bingo ball and you're like, B49! And all of a sudden you have bingo and you've created something. And you're like, what the fuck? How did this happen? How did this all fall? Because you literally are understanding how to be what? The creator that you are. And so when you live like this, and B49 drops down, and all of a sudden your bingo card is bingo, you're blown the fuck away that this is your life, that things have started to click. How is this even happening? Everything is starting to be effortless. Why? Because you're not living from the jello, fear, doubt, hesitancy, victim, judgments. You're living from yourself. And what does it mean to live from yourself? You literally just are, in the sense that everything that happens for you, around you, every experience and every choice, you go like this. Me. I can look at myself. I can see it. I can be like, okay, I can be better, I can do this, and you flush the toilet. And as soon as you flush the toilet, that energy clears out of you, things move out of you, and you're like, oh, okay, I see that, I can be better, I can make a different decision if that presents itself, or not do that again. So just one more centimeter closer to living as the flower open like this. And I can hear a lot of, but Coco, you don't get it, you don't understand. No. No one understands more than me. Trust me. I would sob to Skylar about how to embody a $70 million frequency and all these things when I couldn't even fucking put food on the table. I could not even imagine this life that I live and this freedom I live now. Yeah, I do get it. And I was victim back then, just like maybe you are listening to me, about how somebody outside of me had a better life or had things or weren't going through what I was going through. No. You're not individual. Yes, bad things happen. Things happen in life because you were living in the world that you were born into. When you move out of that, you slide beautifully over here and you start living in the world that you were born for, which no longer is personal. Take that in. It's no longer personal. You can see things for what they are. You can imagine you're on the highest skyscraper. So if you do that right now, you're on that high skyscraper and you're looking down and you're seeing the whole world just operating, doing everything. And when you're standing on top of that skyscraper and you're looking down at everybody living their lives, it's not personal, is it? Because you're fucking 150 floors up. So you're like, okay, he literally just pulled down his pants and shit on the street. Well, it has nothing to do with me. I'm fucking up here. I see it. He's going through it. He's drunk. He's this. He's that. Whatever personal experience that person is having, you can see it for what it is. Doesn't make it right or wrong, but you can see it for what it is. And 90% of what it is the toast and jam, the wounds. And then the experiences that people had throughout their lineage. So their parents and their parents' parents has bled down to 3 generations. And then don't even get me started on cellular and DNA past this current lifetime. You can see everything for what it is. And when you stop making everything about you and you stop obsessing about the me and you start to see the bigger picture of the we, you see the world that we came here for. The world that we came here for is we. It is living beyond the judgment, the tit for tat, the jealousy, the greed, the competition. It's possible and it's happening. But there's a cleanup that's happening. And so breathe, it's exciting. You're part of that cleanup. You're cleaning up from that world as well. So breathe. There's so much ease to be had when you just get out of your own way. And you're like, stop saying it's good for everybody else and not for me. We all are part of this. We are all here to live and build this world we came for. It doesn't matter how fucking old you are in linear time. What matters is that you accept that and you accept this. And you accept that you have this portal that keeps fucking repeating because it was manipulated and controlled to be shut. When you're able to let it flow and understand yourself and live in your truth and just grow with every experience and every conversation and be better, you're going to be mind-blowing at what takes place in this lifetime for you. Energy is everything. You are it. You are light. You are energy. And don't kid yourself that you're not. Do not kid yourself that you're not. And the hardest and most rough thing anybody can do is be like, I'm okay. I believe that I'm not at 10% and then 90% I'm living in the jello. It's like the switch to believe in yourself over here is going to soar. Because here's the thing, everybody wants to be who they truly are. We're all special. We're all fucking unreal. And we're coming back to a season, a state of being, an age, a revolution, whatever you want to call it, where we forgot that all these things sustain us, and creativity and joy is the foundation of all of that. And look at this jello world. Look at that jello world. Joy and creativity was literally fucking taken away from us. And we believed that we had to live a life of fucking hustle, of consumption, of more, of waiting for retirement, of fucking sitting in a cubicle, of all the fucking things that I don't even need to get into. You know this world. We all do. And we literally, if you look at it, it's like creativity and joy was like two little heartbeats on our shoulders that like made us just like be alive. And you know, if you look at the roaring 20s, I saw something where we were talking about, what was it? Like millennials and all that. And in the 20s, it was called the Great Era or the Great Decade or something. I'm probably butchering it. And I was like, what the fuck? That's unreal. Because in the 20s, all that creativity and that joy started to ooze out. A lot of the inventions that we have now came then. And then all of them slap. That program came in, all that hardness came in, all that ley line stuff came in. And look at the generations, look at your parents, look at your parents' parents. All of that in this timeline of now is bleeding out from here. We are now back into the period of creativity and joy, which sustains the flower. Why are so many people searching externally? You know, I don't even know. I can't even give examples because I don't even know that world. But I know that there's people that are doing all the things to try and cope and try and find what I'm talking about right here. You don't need an external thing to find this because you already are it. So people will go and they'll do like meditation retreats. Somebody told me something about ketamine shots. I don't even know what that is to even talk about it. You know, they're talking about like mushrooms, dosage and stuff. And again, I don't even know that to talk about it. And it serves that floor so well, but you don't need it to sustain because as a flower, you don't have anything externally. You are it. You are it. And people have a hard time grasping that because we've been so programmed over here that we need something externally to be it. No, the only thing you need to do is understand. Understand your toast and jam. Understand your portal. Understand what makes you you. And be able to energetically move through it. And in our world, and in our work, what took people a year literally is taking not even 4 weeks now. Because you're ready, we're ready, energy is humanity's here. It's freaking awesome. You're awesome. And you have something inside of you that literally is ready to burst out and be this flower and be this like walking beautiful petal wherever you go, to be the example. like I am for you. So just breathe and ask yourself these questions. What are you scared of? If you knew without a doubt that you weren't going to fail, or there wasn't going to be opinions, or you had something external to stabilize this flower, what would you do? And the first thing people always go to is money, people's opinions, whatever. If you had the money, it doesn't stabilize the flower. Doesn't do shit. It decorates the flower. But guess what? The flower isn't out. The flower is sitting in here. So you know what you're doing? You're creating a fake fucking flower. My old language of you're a rhinestone on a turd. What was I talking about? You're literally taking a flower and trying to make it externally instead of living and embodying it. Here's the thing, you know. Yeah, shit's been fucking interesting, has it not? To get us to this moment of now in humanity, in life, to get here and just be like, what the fuck is happening? This is happening. In this world over here, 0% of fucking life makes sense. Let's be honest. It doesn't make sense. Why would it? It was created as a controlled greenhouse, a controlled factory. So you, as this flower, it ain't fucking gonna make sense over here. So the longer you hold this jello and try and reshape it in a world where the jello is losing its fucking sugar, the harder it's gonna feel. On the other side of all of this is the truth. Everything has been done. All you now have to do is the work to live in the world that you came for. And you're noticing it in everybody, just look around. But the first thing is notice it in yourself. You got you. Let's shine. I want to meet all the flowers. I want to help you grow your seed. I want to see people feeling as good inside as the outside looks. My life is not fake. It's not unattainable. It just takes fucking work. And it takes honesty, and it takes truth. And it takes seeing people, things, and everything for what it is. But when you can honestly own that you're the flower, even if you don't fucking understand what that means for you, that alone is going to give you relief. When you realize you have a seed inside of you that's trying to sprout, and your toast and jam is trying to close you down, that alone is going to give you relief. And all the things that you might be dealing with, sickness, stories, fears, labels, it's all because of this. It's all energy. It's all the cleanup. So imagine a mop pushing you over here. So feel this energy right now. This month is unbelievable. The next 3 months is unbelievable. And the last thing I'm just going to kind of touch on before I go is you're outside of time right now. So what does that mean? There is no time. There is no months. There is no days. I said it on our podcast. All of a sudden, we have, drugged the security guards and cut the lines at the museum. And now you're in the museum getting all the artwork that you left for yourselves, all the things that you left artifacts, things to literally help you sustain, live, and remember for the world that you came for. So imagine two different worlds. This world that you were born into, you have been collecting things, you have been seeing things, whatever, and you've been putting it into this museum, okay? You've been like, okay, I found this book on my way. I'm gonna put it in this museum. Nobody knows I'm here. I'm gonna put it into this museum. Okay, I found this necklace. I'm gonna put it into this museum, okay? So while you've been living in this world you were born into, you as your light knew that there was this museum and you're putting things in. And now all of a sudden, here we are. And now people have done work to, like I said, the security guards are fast asleep. The security system is off. And now you are outside of time, grabbing the things that you left for yourself to help you live, sustain, create, and become in the world that you came for. So while you're here, you're also noticing that one thing that is trying to get you to not pick up these artifacts. Oh, I better not pick that up. Ooh, you're scared, you're this, you're that, you're hearing the stories. But it's like literally, if you see yourself in this game, what the fuck would you do when all of a sudden you're a Power Ranger and it's like, go, go, Power Rangers, go, go, Power Rangers, and you're outside of time for these 3 months? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna grab? What are you gonna believe in yourself? What are you gonna begin? Maybe you're gonna start your healing journey in the sense, I don't even wanna call it a healing journey anymore. It's like a journey of becoming, a journey of remembering, a journey of growing into the flower and the seed that you are. Yeah, you're gonna heal from the damage that maybe was created from that life, but it's gonna be fast, it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be great. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's gonna be hard work at times. You're gonna have emotions, you're gonna move through things, but because people before you have done so much work, it's not gonna sting as bad as it once did. So take this all in. We're in that moment now. There is no fear. There is none. And if you're feeling consumed and washed over with fear at any point, remember the Jello. Remember the world that you were born into. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I entertaining this? What the fuck? This is not helping me anymore live and sustain in the world I came for. This month is awesome. The next 3 months is even better.